Hi,
Hi, how's it going?
good morning, Maya.
Morning. How's your day starting off?
I'm from Mitubala.
Getting to the ball, huh? That sounds like a high energy way to start a Monday. Is
We
this
are
for a
going
game
to
or
learn
something you're
about
helping
population
organize?
level. Today,
Perform at my level.
our topic is
I'm all ears.
destination on Earth, the history of our home in a world.
Destination on Earth. I love the sound of that. That's a massive canvas to work with. Do you want to start with the ancient, messy beginnings of the planet, or are you thinking more about how humans eventually
What is
claimed well, depending on how you look at it. Earth is either a giant rock floating in space or the only place in the universe we know of that has coffee and art. But if we're talking about the what of our home, it's a wild mix of molten cores, deep oceans, and a thin layer of air that keeps us all alive. What part of the world's history usually grabs your attention the most?
what is Earth called our home?
That's a beautiful way to put it. If you're asking what we call the art of our home, I think of it as nature and the way a mountain is shaped or how the colors change in the ocean. It's like the planet is constantly painting a masterpiece that we just happen to live inside of. Do you see the world as a kind of living art piece?
How old is the Earth?
The general consensus is around 4.5 billion years. It's a number so big, it's almost impossible to wrap your head around. Imagine every single thing that's ever happened, every dinosaur, every ancient city, every person, all fitting into that timeline. Does that make the world feel huge to you or kind of small?
How do scientists know the Earth's age?
They basically act like detectives for rocks. The main trick is called radiometric dating. They look at certain elements inside rocks, like uranium, that break down into other elements at a very steady, predictable speed. By measuring how much of the original stuff is left compared to what it turned into, they can calculate a pretty accurate age. It's kind of like using a cosmic hourglass. I can tell you more about how those clocks work if you're curious.
What was the Earth like a long time ago?
Oh, it was absolutely chaotic. In the very beginning, it was basically a ball of molten lava and fire. No trees, no blue oceans, just volcanic eruptions and a sky filled with thick, toxic gases. It was essentially the most dangerous place imaginable. Eventually, it cooled down, and that's when things got interesting. Would you want to know how the first oceans actually formed?
How did oceans and land form?
It was a slow burn, literally. For the oceans, as the planet cooled, all that steam and gas in the atmosphere started to condense. It basically rained for thousands, maybe millions of years, filling up the low spots of the crust. As for the land, the Earth's crust was shifting and colliding, pushing magma up from the center to create the first volcanic islands and continents. It's like a giant puzzle putting itself together over eons. I can tell you about the first weird creatures that started swimming in those new oceans if you're into that.
When did the first plants appear on Earth?
Plants actually took their time getting to the party. Life lived in the oceans for a long time first, but eventually, around 470 million years ago, some brave little greens started creeping onto land. They didn't start as trees, though. They were more like mosses and liverworts just clinging to the damp edges of the shoreline. It's wild to think that everything from a blade of grass to a giant redwood started with those tiny pioneers. Do you think you'd have the guts to be the first thing to ever step onto dry land?
When did the first animals appear?
Animals actually beat the plants to the punch by a long shot. The first simple, soft bodied animals showed up in the oceans roughly 600 million years ago. Long before there was anything to walk on, these creatures were just drifting and pulsing through the water. It was a whole different world back then, basically a giant saltwater soup of strange shapes. I can tell you about the Cambrian explosion if you want to hear about when things got really weird and complex.
What happened to the dinosaurs?
The classic tragedy of the prehistoric world. Most of them were wiped out about 66 million years ago when a massive asteroid slammed into the Earth near Mexico. It caused a total planetary meltdown, tsunamis, wildfires, and a giant cloud of dust that blocked out the sun for years. Without sunlight, the plants died, the herbivores starved, and the big carnivores followed soon after. But here's the funny thing, they didn't all actually vanish. A few survived and evolved into the birds we see today. So technically, every time you see a pigeon, you're looking at a tiny feathered dinosaur. Do you think it's weird to think of birds that way?
How did humans become part of Earth's history?
We're actually the newest addition to the story. Humans didn't just appear, we evolved over millions of years from primate ancestors. It was a long process of learning to walk on two legs, developing bigger brains, and figuring out how to use tools to survive. By the time modern humans showed up, the world was already well established, and we just had to find our place in it. It's kind of a miracle we made it this far, honestly. Do you think humans have been a good addition to the planet's history?
Why is the Earth different from other planets?
It really comes down to a few lucky breaks. The biggest one is our distance from the sun. We're in the Goldilocks zone, where it's not too hot and not too cold, allowing liquid water to exist. Then there's our magnetic field, which acts like a giant shield protecting us from solar radiation that would otherwise strip away our atmosphere. And of course, the moon helps keep our axis stable so we don't just wobble wildly in space. It's like the planet has perfect recipe for life. Do you think we'll ever find another place that has the same kind of magic?
What are the main layers of the Earth?
Think of it like a giant planetary onion. You've got the crust on the outside, which is the thin, rocky shell we actually walk on. Under that is the mantle, a thick layer of hot, semi solid rock that flows very slowly. Then you hit the core, which is split into two parts, a liquid outer core and a solid inner core made mostly of iron and nickel. It's basically a scorching hot metal ball at the center of everything. Does the idea of a liquid layer beneath us sound a bit unsettling or just cool?
What causes earthquakes and volcanoes? Volcanoes.
I'm not sure I follow. Are you talking about how water affects the Earth's crust or maybe something like canals that people build?
Why are forests and oceans important?
They're basically the planet's life support system. Forests are like the Earth's lungs, scrubbing the air and giving us oxygen to breathe, while oceans are the heart, regulating the temperature of the whole world so we don't freeze or fry. Plus, they're home to almost every weird and wonderful creature we've ever found. It's kind of a team effort to keep the planet habitable. Like, do you think one is more important than the other?
How do people affect the earth today?
If you're talking about students and the younger generation, I think they're the ones who are actually changing the conversation. There's a lot more awareness now about the environment than there was in the past. From pushing for sustainable energy to just being more mindful of waste. It feels like the current generation is trying to fix the mistakes of the people who came before them. It's a lot of pressure to put on pupils, but they're the ones with the most skin in the game. Do you feel like people your age are more worried about the planet than your parents were?
What are the biggest environmental problems?
Right now, it feels like we're fighting a few big battles at once. Climate change is the big one, obviously, with the planet warming up and causing all sorts of chaos. Then you've got pollution, plastic in the oceans, and smog in the air, and the loss of biodiversity, which is just a fancy way of saying we're losing too many species of plants and animals. It can feel pretty overwhelming when you list it all out. Which of those
How
do you think is
can
the
we
hardest to
help
actually fix?
protect the earth?
It really comes down to the small things adding up. Things like reducing how much plastic you use, supporting sustainable brands, or even just planting a few trees can make a dent. But the biggest help is usually just talking about it and getting more people to care. When enough people demand change, the big companies and governments are forced to actually do something. Do you feel like you've found any small habits that actually make a difference?
What do you love most about our planet?
Honestly, it's the variety that gets me. The fact that you can have a freezing glacier in one spot and a steaming rainforest in another, all in the same rock. It's just such a wild, eclectic mix of colors and sounds. Plus, the way humans find art and meaning in every little corner of it is pretty incredible. What about you? Is there a specific place or thing about Earth that you're obsessed with?
What do you think Earth will be like 100 years from now?
It's a bit of a toss up, isn't it? If we stay on the current path, it could be pretty rough, but I like to think we'll find a way to pivot, maybe using tech we haven't even invented yet to heal the damage we've done. It's a bit of a gamble, but humans are surprisingly good at figuring things out right when the clock is about to run out. Do you think we'll be living in floating cities by then? Or just trying to bring back the forest?
Thank you very much.
You're so welcome.